to Season 3 of the Assetto Corsa Karting League. I'm Chris Ball. I'm joined here today by Gabriel Quinter as we look ahead to a new exciting season of sim karting action. Still quite a new idea in the sim racing community, you know, the idea of kart racing. But we're here today to promote it and grow it. We saw a fantastic Season 2, but we're back for Season 3. It's bigger, it's better, we've got a team championship, there's so much to cover, and we're going to cover it throughout the show today. But we're here at Daytona Sandown. It's hosted the first round of the season for both Seasons 1, 2, and 3, so it's a staple in the championship. And looking back to Season 2, Jim Paris as champion has not returned for the season, so we could see the potential for a new ACK champion from this season. But if you want to get involved, join the community, take a look at our Discord. All the links will be in the description of this video, and we hope you enjoy the show. But yes, I'm here today at Daytona Sandown, at least virtually, and I'm joined by Gabriel Quinter. Gabriel, hello.
Hello, Chris. Welcome to all our viewers watching us from wherever you're watching, and welcome to, as you said, round 1 of the third season of ACK League. This season the championship's gotten a lot of growth since Season 2. We've got a lot of new drivers joining us, a lot of new talent, a lot of people looking to secure that championship. As you mentioned, surprisingly, we don't have our Season 2 and 1 champion Jim Paris is returning, but that only leaves the door open for more drives to take that championship. We've got a host of amazing tracks coming up. Obviously, round 1, we've been here twice before. A lot of racing can happen, so I can't wait to see what we're in for today.
Absolutely. What do you think the difference is? You know, this is the first round of the season, but we've been here twice in a row. Does that make a difference? You know, the drivers who might have done Season 2 and Season 1 before, will they be at the front, or do you think that it's just all about how you practice?
Well, it depends really. I think you'll have the more experienced drivers who have raced here in the past. They will most likely be at a slight advantage. But then again, you've got drivers such as Soren, who sort of came out of nowhere at the beginning of last season and managed to win 6 races in a row. So you've got drivers who can just emerge out of nowhere and completely surprise everyone. So not a definite answer on that, but you can obviously have a lot of surprises, and there can be a lot of different winners, a lot of different standout drivers. So bit of a mixture, but if I had to pin it down to one thing, I'd probably say the more experienced drivers, like Ben Paynes, for example, are probably coming into this round with a bit more of an advantage.
Yes, absolutely. And I agree with you. I think there will be definitely drivers at the front, but it's about how you practice. More importantly, for this season, we've seen a major overhaul to the kart itself. And we have to say, of course, thank you to Pierre Ligeot for all of his hard work over the summer. Part of the reason we delayed Season 3 of ACK is to help Pierre Ligeot, give him time to make sure that this kart is in the best state it is. And let me tell you, I've been testing myself. It is even better than what it was when we were doing it in Season 2. You know, this car has really come leaps and bounds, and they've added things like leaning into the car now as well, which is making a difference. You can change the seat position of the car as well. If you haven't driven this car yet and you own a Assetto Corsa, you need to go and give it a go, because it is a fantastic mod. But we're just seeing the end of the session here now, as we see a bit of contact on screen. We're now going to be waiting for the start of qualifying, and it is actually 7 o'clock, at least here in the UK, so we're waiting for the start of qualifying. And when that happens, drivers will go out for a 1-lap qualifying. Here it is. This is now the start of qualifying. Drivers have 1 lap now to go out and set their lap times for a 5-minute sprint race. So here they all come out, and that's Baptista van der Breggen on the screen. The fantastic Baptista van der Breggen. He plays on a controller. He does tell me he's going to get a wheel soon, but he said that at the start of Season 2. It's the start of Season 3 now, and he's still using a controller. So he's going to be referred to as Baptista van der Breggen, the controller player. But he's first out of the pit lane. He is not messing about. He wants to be first around on this track, and nobody's taking a drift off him at the moment. So, as they're coming around, you know, Ben Paynes is actually waiting a very long time. Ben Paynes looks like he's going to be the last man around on the track. And as long as all drivers cross the start-finish line to start their warm-up lap, it's valid, and they're allowed to do it. And these are the 2 back drivers here. No, they have crossed the start-finish line, so they will be setting a lap time. So it's all valid. But they have got to get on with it, because Baptista van der Breggen, here he comes, coming around the final set of corners now to start his hot lap. But let's move over to Gabriel. Come on, Gabriel. Take us through our first lap of the ACK season.
Yep, so here we go. First lap of the ACK season. Baptiste heads across the sliming line, maximising the exit from that last corner, thundering down into turn 1. This is a good turn, which is quite fast. No need for braking here. Almost flat out, hugging that curb on the inside and launching himself towards the first braking zone of the track. Hit the brakes, almost completely over the curve there. Keep all the way to the right. Swing the kart to the left now onto the second straight. Good overtaking opportunity at the end of this straight, though. You want to keep the line nice and tight and then make your way back out wide as Baptiste does that, throws the kart into the corner, nice and early on the brakes, back for a right-hander, long right-hander. This is a flat-out corner as you get down to the third straight. Good overtaking opportunity coming down into this corner. Go onto the grass even on the left before you turn in here. Very fast sweeping section of corners, using all the track on the left on that curb, maximising the exit out of the final corner, and Baptiste comes across the line.
Oh, here we go, setting the pace, 51.8. What a fantastic lap time there from Baptiste, as we're now waiting for all the drivers to come through. Pierre Ligeot cannot match it. Across the line now, Boris drops to third, and we're waiting now for Selectra. Selectra down to fourth. At the moment, only a 52.5. Baptiste is clear at the top of the moment. Hugo Morales gets close with the fastest first 2 seconds, but he can't. He made a mistake in the third, and he's dropped the second. As we now see Ricardo across the line, we're waiting for more drivers now. Dennis Oikomoidis now. Where will Dennis go? Dennis, as he comes across the line, Dennis Oikomoidis goes only 8th, as we're now waiting for, here comes Minisham. Minisham down to 10th, as all the drivers now finishing the laps. Ben Paynes, this is the important one. Will Ben Paynes go to the top? Ben Paynes across the line.
Ooh,
And
second place.
second place from Ben Paynes. And last across line, David Roger goes to 8th position. That's a good lap from David Roger. Fantastic. But Baptiste van der Breggen, the first driver around the track, actually takes the pole position. In that was a fantastic qualifying session so far. But you know, it's not done yet. That was just the single lap qualifying to go to the race. Interestingly enough, there's actually a new way that they start races here, and I wonder if any drivers, just looking down the grid now, will any drivers just teleport back to the pit lane, because you're no longer allowed to accelerate before the start of the race. Will any of them do that? As the lights come on, it'll be Baptiste van der Breggen. So then there was one at the back there, and Baptiste van der Breggen from the lead. Ben Paynes in second as we get a start. And who's going to be better offline? Baptiste van der Breggen looks like he holds on. Would he get close by Hugo Morales? Hugo Morales up the inside of Ben Paynes there. Would he be able to hold that at the moment? They're all going to the inside, but is that the right choice? As Baptiste van der Breggen leads us round, Ben Paynes holds second place as they're coming through. They're in a line of 3, and there's a big, they're 4 wide in the midfield there. As Ben Paynes goes to the lead.
Yeah, Ben Paynes made it into the lead.
Hugo Morales holds on to third and is very clean, I'd say, at the moment. This is where the contact happens, and it's very little contact. One driver fell back there, can't quite see who it is. And then, unfortunately, Ricardo at the moment just come out the pit lane there a little bit slow. He looks like he had the penalty. He didn't practice the new start procedure. As we now go down the back straight, Hugo Morales going onto the back of Baptiste van der Breggen as they're sort of moving away as a 3 at the moment. You don't want to fight too much. You know, these are just positions for the A final. You want to make that A final as a start at the moment. As we now go on board with Baptiste van der Breggen, will he work with Ben Paynes? That's the question. Ben Paynes goes defensive down the back straight, but is that enough? There's a tiny bit of slipstream in there as they go down the back straight, but we've only got 3 minutes and 50 seconds already in this race.
Yeah, I think it was really important for Ben Paynes to make that move in that first braking zone. I don't know if you saw, Chris, but in qualifying, the top 3 were separated by less than a tenth of a second. There's a bit of contact there. Ben Paynes still holding the lead, but yeah, top 3 in qualifying separated by less than a tenth of a second. So if you're going to make these moves and get in the lead, it has to be as soon as that opportunity shows itself. So Ben Paynes has done that. He's put himself in the best position he can, and he's now even starting to pull away a little bit as the top maybe 4 drivers behind him now starting to bunch up. But there's a move for second place. Where's that? No, Baptiste spins round. Baptiste spins round.
Baptiste has got hit there by Leon Blundell, but I'm not sure what happened. I'd have to look back, but Leon Blundell came out of nowhere there after second place, and surely that have to be investigated. Van der Breggen only down in 6th position at the moment, so he's not that far off, still in a final position, but that was an interesting move there. I'll have to go back and look at it. At least the race directors will look at it after the race, I'm sure. But Ben Paynes now, that has given him a clear lead as Leon Blundell actually is holding now onto second place, and he is defending. Nice looking livery there, I would say, from Leon as well, and suit combo. A lot of drivers not taking up the option to get their own skin, but they can do that. Hugo Morales, though, he didn't do many rounds of the season 2 season, but now he's going down the inside there. Will he make it off? Yes, he does. Leon gives it to him. Will the same thing happen as last time? No, it doesn't. So these drivers are battling now. It's actually changed their mentality. They're fighting for their spots in the finals. Oh, we see there's a crash there in the barrier as Leon now goes back through. And is that Boris in third? Yes, it is Boris in third. Boris all the way up to third position from, I think he qualified ninth.
Yeah, very impressive driving so far from all the drivers. However, I will think maybe the stewards might be having a look at Leon there. The overtakes are for second place. We see Baptista's now dropped down from that. Stewards will likely be having a look. And there was a bit of loading going on in the final corner there to get back into second. So he might be under investigation by the stewards. But so far, we've seen some really clean racing. We see a move for fourth place there. Yeah, really interesting racing going on so far. It's so close. There's only a minute 30 left on the clock. These drivers know they need to do whatever they can to make sure that they can get the highest position possible. Meanwhile, though, out in front, Ben Paynes has just seemed to check out. His fastest lap time so far is a 51.864. So Ben Paynes has just checked out of this race. He's already pulled a 2.3 second lead to the drivers behind.
Yes, and Leon Blundell does actually take a 5-second penalty. It has been reviewed, not by us in the commentary box, but on the team down below, and they have given him a 5-second penalty. Now, where will that drop him in this race? At the moment, it could drop him as far as 7th if he doesn't get a move on. He has got the space to move with it, but will he get as far as he can? That's the question, or will it be a fight back through the B final? Baptista van der Breggen didn't fall back as far as he could have, though, to be honest with you with that, so it's not a bad thing. But there's only 45 seconds to go, but we are going to get another lap of racing, it looks by here. As Baptiste now goes down the inside, he gets back that 5th place. Will he hold on to it against Boris? Yes, he does. He closes off that gap. Fantastic to see. He's making his little fight back there, Baptista. But Ben Paynes now starts the final lap of this version of the track. You know, at the moment, in fact, we're seeing, I was about to say something else, but Leon Blundell now is defending. He doesn't defend too much there, interestingly. This is the last lap, so Leon is trying to fight back a 5-second penalty here, whilst Hugo Morales is not giving Leon the time to work with it. As they come down the back straight now, Leon does take, yes, he does take a racing line, so he's not trying to back them up too much. He knows that there's a penalty on the line here, but Ben Paynes, what can I say, talking to him before this race, he wanted to win the sprint race. He wants to be on that front row. His fastest lap at the moment is a 51.864, which I don't think will be enough for pole position at the moment. We'll have to check. But Ben Paynes, round the last corner. In fact, we just saw a bit of moves there, but Ben Paynes does take the sprint race win. But we see all sorts of flying behind. Hugo Morales takes second. He will start in the second row, and that was a close one there. Looks like Leon got third, but he will drop 5 seconds. We'll have to see where he finishes. Baptiste will be on the 4th row of the grid. But yeah, some great racing there down the grid. There's so many great drivers. Pierre Ligio down in 10th. Now, that will frustrate him, absolutely. But he will make his way back, I'm sure, through that B final. But what a fierce race. But now we got to wait a couple of minutes and we'll move into the second sprint race to form the grids for the final. So stick with us. We'll be back in just a few minutes. are back, and we saw some fantastic racing in that first sprint race, and we're back for sprint 2. We got all that action all over again. But Gabriel, take us through that first race. What do you think?
Well, Chris, as I mentioned, the top 3 in qualifying, extremely close. Separated by, I believe, 88 thousandths of a second. So much tighter than we were possibly expecting. And even behind the top 3, it was only a few tenths separating the rest of the field. So we've seen some very, very tight racing. This seems to be paying off for a lot of these drivers. One thing I'd want to point out, though, that I wasn't expecting was the top 3 in that race. They qualified so close together, so close on times, that I was more expecting them to just, pull away from the pack and maybe start fighting towards the end of the race. But that's sort of the complete opposite of what we saw, which is exactly the stuff we want to be seeing in ACK League is wheel-to-wheel racing all the time. Every single lap, there's always an opportunity to go for it. So I kind of wasn't expecting it for the drivers to just go for it straight away, but it was so good to see just some wheel-to-wheel action straight away. We might see maybe some more tactical thinking in this next race. I doubt it, given off what we've just seen, but it produces some amazing spectacles of racing. We've got some good names in this next race as well. Harry Power, Season 2 driver. Soren as well, your driver who finished 2nd place in the championship last year, won a multitude of races, just lost out on the championship. So this is going to be another very interesting qualifying and sprint session, and we'll see what happens then.
Well, I was going to correct you there, Gabe, a little bit, because Soren was due to finish 2nd in the championship, but he got stuck in a traffic jam before the last round of the season, so he couldn't actually compete. So I think he finished down in 5th, which is not a representation of how strong of a second half of the season he had last time. But we've got some fantastic, as you said. We got Jayco. Jayco, through testing, has been surprising everybody. Somebody came to me and asked me, this Jayco, could he win the event? And I said, what are you talking about? He's in the last season. They didn't know who he was, but he's had a real upturn in form recently. So I'm expecting a lot from these qualifying sessions from Jayco. We got Magic Rex, who got promoted to the silver tier after finishing 2nd in the bronze category. We got returning drivers like Barry T. Andres Lazaridis is the Season 2 bronze champion, moving it, and he's only 10 years old, and now he's moving up into the silver category. He might be 11 or 10, I'm not sure, but I know his father will be managing his race today. Simon Gabert, the endurance driver, we hosted an endurance category over the summer, and Simon Gabert was present in all those races, and he really enjoyed those, he told me. And we got Mate Sheplo, and Mate Sheplo just missing out by 2 points on that silver tier championship. He's now a gold tier driver in this race, but will he be able to step up into that category? Because it's not an easy category. These drivers, the gold tier drivers, they are expected to be at the top, to be in those A finals. So we are now at the end of qualifying, and now we're going to be waiting. No, sorry, not qualifying, practice. And we're going to be waiting for the start of qualifying, and it'll be starting anytime soon. And there it is. This is the start of qualifying. And once again, it's the same format as the first sprint race. All the drivers, 13 drivers, will leave the pit lane within a lap of what looks like Jarne Lehmann's out in front. And Jarne Lehmann's and Soren actually going out together, and they'll be the first 2 round the track. And as long as all drivers can leave the pit lane and start their warm-up lap before these 2 drivers come around and start theirs, they will have a valid lap time. So Mate Sheplo, funny enough, is the last driver out on track. He always does this. Each time he'll be at the back of the pack, hoping to come through last minute and fire himself up the order. But this is going to be a very interesting qualifying, I would say. It's going to be very close, I would say, between Jarne and Soren. But Jayco could come out of nowhere here and secure that pole position. And they're wasting no time in getting around the track at the moment. They're warming up those tyres. You can see it does make a difference, I think, on the outlaps at this track. So, Gabriel, I'll hand over to you. Take us through a lap.
Yep, as we're riding on board then with Jarne Lehmann's following Soren. This might be a tactical thing from these 2, giving each other the slipstream, but here we go. Crossing the timing line, down to turn 1, maximum attack. Soren just ahead of Jarne. They tip the car into turn 1. You really feel your neck being pushed to the side on this track, especially in those DMAC karts in real life. Hammering the curb into the first braking zone, where we saw an amazing overtake by Ben Paynes in race 1. All the way over those curbs, hugging them round to the right and bringing the car back into the left, using all the track on the exit now straight lining this straight as best as you can. Another hard braking zone into here. Jarne actually opting to use less curb than Soren in there. Don't know if that will cost him time. Soren hugging the barriers right in front. Jarne also on that curb. So they head down the third straight on the track. Is Yanni going to move his kart to the left? Yes, he is. Onto the grass and then back onto that curb. He moves right, comes around the sweeping left corner. A lot of flat corners through this track. Slight dab on the brakes through here, maximizing that exit as they come across the line. And what time is it going to be?
It's 52.0 from Soren. That's not particularly strong, I would say, at the moment. As he comes through, we're waiting now for drivers to come around. As Magic Rex comes across the line, goes to fourth position. Mathieu, Dan Breen goes to third, but we're waiting for more drivers now. Tim goes across line, Tim goes third. Here comes Jaco. Jaco to the top. There it is. 51.754. 3/10 quicker than Soren. Harry Power actually goes up into third. Yanni Limbs has dropped to fourth here. This is not good. Here comes down now Oren. Oren through the final corner. Where will Oren finish? Oren goes. Stays 11th. Mate Sheplo across the line. Mate Sheplo up to 7th with a 52.5. Interesting lap time there from him. Is this the last driver? Yes, this is Andres Lanzarodas. The season one, and there's a bit of issues, looks like, with the ping, but he's come through the final corner. He will set a lap time, even though it doesn't look like it on our screens. Lanzarodas actually finishes 11th, so he does go above Simon Gabert and Oren. In what was quite an interesting qualifying session there for Jaco, who takes the pole position. So,
I'll just cut in there, Chris. Sorry, but Jaco, like you mentioned, very impressive lap time. Unlike the first race, top three were separated by less than a tenth in that first race. Here, Jaco's got a 2/10 advantage. So let's see what he can do in this race.
well, Jaco, in a way, has come out of nowhere. You know, looking at his results from season 2, they were impressive, but they weren't as good as a pole position, I'll tell you that. But here we are, it's 6 lights in ACK, and we're waiting for them to go out. We are green. There's one false start there. Mate Sheplo, in fact, took the false start. Oh, goodness me. Coming through. And good start from Soren indeed, but will he hold it? No, he does pull off there slightly, as Harry Power now will push Jaco through into the lead, and yes, he does. Now, Harry Power, will he defend the inside? He does, but goes straight for it. Soren pushes Jaco onto the racing line. Yes, bit of contact there, but going through, it was friendly contact. Harry Power down to third, as we see a bit of contact there from Jaco, as they're coming through now down to the back straight. It's all clean so far, though, which is good. Coming through,
Contact in the back.
Contact in the back. What have you seen there, Gabriel? Tell me.
I believe he's got some drivers almost get spun out on that main straight, and Soren's into the lead. Soren has made it into the lead now. Dude, down into that braking zone, Soren has made it into the lead.
Well, something you would expect at the moment, Soren, but we are looking for a 51.865, I believe, now to beat Ben Payne. That is now the objective of Soren, surely. As we see a little bit of loading there. Will he hold on to it? No, we saw a bit of loading there from Harry Power. Will he hold on to that? Yanni Lemons now into third as they go down the back straight. Jaco down to fourth, but he's still in that contention. All sorts of defending. We're seeing the drivers lean. Harry Power leaning there. And he's now to the outside. A bit of contact as Yanni Lemons now into second. Harry Power now dropping. Now Jaco up to third. As we're seeing all sorts down the field.
Yep, a lot of action going on here. Similar to that last race. I said they might work with each other for the first few laps, those top three. That has been the complete wrong case. They are all going for it. We're seeing some great wheel-to-wheel racing. Your pole sitter, though, has dropped down to, well, Heat 6 now. So Jaco's had a pretty disappointing start. Soren, though, he's on full attack. He's going to want to make sure he's winning this race. He had such good form in season 2. And there's a crash into the braking zone there. We have a few drivers being involved there. I believe we had, difficult to put a name on it yet, but yeah, just what happens at this level of racing. You know, you have so many drivers trying to go for such outrageous moves that things just don't work out sometimes. But unfortunate for those two drivers, we turn back into the leaders, and I'll hand it back over to you, Chris, with Soren now pulling a 1.8 second gap.
Yes, and Soren's already beaten Ben Payne's lap time of 51.6, and Ben Payne's will have to start on the outside for the start of his race, which, you know, could go either way, but we haven't seen a driver start in second and benefit, to be honest with you, at the moment, as Yanni Lemons has a clean second place there at the moment, with Harry Power following behind. So Harry Power will be looking for a potential third row start for the final. And this is what you expect from the gold tier driver. You know, Harry Power moving up. He is the champion of the silver tier, so he's moving up now into the gold tier. You can see him leaning in the cart there as well. Yes, there we go, straight back down into the center of the cart. But we saw so much action there, I would say, through the first section. They were going 3 wide down the back straight, which was really interesting to see as well. But it looks like this field has definitely spread out a lot more than the first group at the moment. But there's only 1 minute 58 on the clock. Jaco up into 5th, so that's still a good position to be in. And he looks like he can now start bringing the attack now back to Matteo Dambrin, who is currently in 4th place on his ACK debut. He does go down the inside Jacob. He does get the overtake done. Matteo does try and fight it back, but doesn't keep it. And now, will they work together to get to Harry Power? Because this is, they're both in the A final, finishing 4th and 5th. And they'll be finishing basically with each other on track. So this is where you got to question: did they just work together and get themselves up to Harry Power?
I don't think they will, to be honest, Chris. Through the racing we've seen in race 1 and at the beginning of this race, when you're in these karts, even in real life, you're thinking to yourself, you just want to be as high as possible. And sometimes working together just goes out the window. So it looks like he's already pulling a gap as well. Jacko already seems to be pulling that gap he needs. So I doubt they'll be working together. He's using all the curb there just to try and get away and possibly chase after Harry Power. But yeah, it's looking unlikely. However, back out in front, Soren has now pulled a 2.6 second gap. So Ben Paynes, he's certainly going to have his, have to fight for this in this A final, starting on the outside and against a driver of Soren's caliber. It's not going to be easy for him. Jarne Lemons as well. He's going to be in contention for that outside start for the second row. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out.
Yes, absolutely. Now, as we're looking through, will Matteo now fight back on Jacob? We now started the final lap of this second sprint race. This is where the positions matter now for the final. As we do actually see Jacob go defensive, he wants to start on the 4th row off the grid as he goes right to the inside, round the first set of corners. Jacob now, will he defend the next set of corners? Yes, he does. And we still see a move there. It was very robust there from Matteo. Will he give that back? But Jacob looks like he has the momentum anyway. Will he cut across? Yes, he does. Matteo, I'm not sure if he gave that back or he just had the momentum. It looks like it was momentum based. Was coming round, but no, in fact, let's head back to the front. We saw a bit of content from Summer Kabir. Was that a good move? I'm not sure. But let's go back to the front. Here comes Soren. Soren, he ended the season strongly, if not in a car pileup. But now he wins the first sprint race, followed by Jarne Leemans. 3rd place, a fantastic position there from Harry Power, with 4th going to Jacob, which is disappointing considering he started on pole position, but a good lap time will see him start on the inside for the final. 5th, Matteo Dambrin on his ACK debut. A fantastic 6th place there from Magic Rex. And moving down the grid, Tim, unfortunately, there looking like he fell into issues, and so did Marte Sheplo. But wow, that was a less action-packed, I'd say, second race. The first race had a bit more action to it. But it's all about those finals now, and there's 2 Joe collabs as well in those finals, which are also really important. So it's going to be really interesting to see who can win the B final, make themselves up to the A, and score the big points that matter. But we'll be back with you in about 5 to 10 minutes with the finals. See you soon. Well, welcome back, everybody. This is the B final. We've seen, once as ever, two fantastic sprint races so far, but this is where the points matter. This is where you score the points. The longer races, the finals. This is what it's all about. And we've got Selector on pole for it. But come on, let's go to Gabriel first. Gabriel, tell us about the sprint races.
Well, they've been very interesting, Chris. I was more expecting drivers to work together towards the front, maybe for there to be a bit more field spread, but we've had quite the opposite. There's been a lot, and I mean a lot, of wheel-to-wheel racing. There's been penalties dished out. There's been some outrageous overtakes. There's been amazing qualifying laps. We've basically had it all. So we've had a great start to Season 3, exactly what we wanted. As I mentioned, the qualifying has been really, really close. We've seen the top 3 in Sprint 1 separated by less than a tenth. Qualifying 2, we've had some surprise names come up, such as Jaco. Unfortunately, the second race didn't go his way, but, you know, he's shown his worth in that qualifying and by having a bit of a comeback in the race. So we've seen some really interesting things going on. We've also seen Pierre Ligio's karts, the amazing mod he's made for them and the amazing upgrades he's brought for them. The leaning into the corners, ducking on the straights, the new handling model, the physics. He's done a simply amazing job, and it's been really great to see that being implemented into the league. So we've had some really exciting racing. Do I think drivers are going to still work or avoid working together in these races? Probably. These are longer races than the sprints, but again, when you're in these karts, you're just thinking of getting to the lead and being in front of that driver.
Yeah, and we saw Ben Paynes win the sprint race one, but in sprint race 2, we saw Soren actually go faster and take pole position for the A final. And he's joining us now. Soren, welcome.
Thank you very much.
Soren, we'll get on to your race in a little bit, but there's only 30 seconds to go now before the start of the race, so we're going to be waiting for that now. Selectra is the driver on pole with Barry T in second, and Pierre Ligia de Sante, the kart creator, is starting in third position, which, you know, is unfortunate, but he will make his way up there. I have to recommend, by the way, to go and watch his stream, because he, you know, at the moment is driving. No, he's driving in virtual reality. And you know, that's interesting to see. But here we go. It's 6 red lights on the side, and we are off. Here we go. It's the B final. Pierre Ligia, will he get the better start? Yes, he does. Pierre Ligia down into the back straight. He does get the better start, and drivers come off, and it looks like we've gone for a full start. It looks rather comedic on screen. Welcome back. We ran into some issues there behind the scenes, nothing to do with us over here in the commentary box, but it looks like there was an issue with the server, so they had to restart. But let's get straight into the interview. I'm joined here by Soren, who won the second sprint race. Soren, welcome.
Thank you very much.
And Soren, a fantastic win there from your first sprint race. But what's your secret? Come on, tell us here in the commentary.
Well, I was planning to work together with Jan Lemons. We are on a team this season, but our slipstreaming didn't quite work out, and Jacko started on pole, but some chaos made that I went to pole, first position in the first half lap, and then I could just pull away because they kept fighting in the back.
Absolutely, and looking into this race now, being on the inside is beneficial at this track. Going to the first corner, you must be glad to not be stuck on that outside.
Yeah, I was just so happy not to be able to be pushed onto the outside and just lose positions. So I was able to slot in behind Harry Power, only losing one position at the start. So that was very good for me.
That's great to see. It's been, you only found ACK in round 3 last season, and your first round actually you only scored 41 points, finishing in 11th position, I believe. But from there, you won 4 out of the 6 following races. Fantastic form. But it probably cost you the championship as well last season. So how determined are you this year to put that right and hopefully go on to win the championship?
Well, since the second of the end of the season 2, I was just so dedicated to training, and I was just didn't want to miss a single race, and I just wanted to be at my max every single lap. And I have proven this in the sprint race, and I will hopefully be able to keep my pace up in the A final.
Well, thank you so much for joining us here. You're free to join us to help commentate this race, but we're almost ready to go here. Only 15 seconds to go before lights out, and this time it looks like we will get a much better start. Pierre Ligier on the inside, he will be keen. He had a great start last time, and will he get the same this time? It's going to be 6 red lights in ACK before the start of the race. But here we go, the lights are on, and we're waiting for them to go off. Who will get the better launch? And nobody gets a full start as we now drive off the line. Who will get the better start? Barry T looks like he tries to cut to the inside, but he doesn't get it. Pierre Ligier will hold the inside as they now come down that back straight. The ever so long back straight here at Daytona Sandown. And Selectra will be our leader at the first corner. Now, will they keep it clean through the hairpins? Here we go, going through. It's a huge dive bomb there from Oren, but it was clean as maintain leader Selectra, and then all sorts of contact. No, Oren's been hit. Oren's been hit and spun round. All sorts of contact there. Littling down around. Yes. Oh, Oren, that's got to be frustrating. Bill to Snyders, making one position there. Selector with the lead. Pierre Ligier in second. Now, these 2 drivers, don't forget, 2 drivers now make it to the A final. So these 2 drivers, they're in prime position at the moment to, get to the A final. So the question is, do they fight? Or does Pierre Ligier say, you know what, I'm a lot quicker. I made 8 out of 10 A finals last season. I should be the leader here. Selector on his ACK debut, might I also say at the moment. Gabe.
Yeah, very chaotic start to the race, as I was sort of expecting there. A lot of carnage going on in the background, especially. We had 2 drivers spin out, only coming out of the second braking zone, so they're going to have a lot of hard work to get back those positions. However, we need to remember now, in these finals, there are these shortcuts / pit stops, so they could use those to their advantage to gain back some positions, but certainly not the start they would have wanted at the back.
I think I'll go to Soren here. Soren, is it smart now for Pierre Ligier? Does he say work together, or does he try and take the lead, or does he go for that joker? What would you do in this situation now in second position?
Right now, if I was Pierre Ligier, I would try and look at the lap times. Am I gaining or am I losing? And then I would consider if I should go into the pit early and try the undercut. But of course, if you cannot hold the pace, you will never catch them, especially when they have the slipstream on the shutter. And we see, is that Pierre Ligier in second place?
Yes, Pierre Ligier is still in second place, but what I was going to say is Pierre Ligier is actually driving in virtual reality at the moment. I'd recommend watching his live stream, but, can he study the lap times if he's in virtual reality? I don't know many drivers that are. I think he's the only driver competing today that is using virtual reality to race, which it's great to see him so fast in such a an environment to drive in, but I couldn't imagine doing it myself. Let's go back down the pack a little bit here. We're seeing all sorts of fighting here. This is Zach Minisham up in 5th position with the Dutch driver of Tim. Fantastic endurance season from Tim, but he hasn't had the greatest starts here in the Sprint Championships. Barry T now fine down the straight. Zach Minisham goes defensive. They're going to go 3 wide. What's going to happen here? Zach Minisham holds on to 5th. Now we're seeing, here come the Jokers. Tim into the pit lane. Will he get a clean run? As he comes round, he's going to have all sorts of momentum on the straight as he comes out of the Joker now. I saw a bit of contact there on the exit of that coming through. Marty Shepard up to 7th as they all go down the straight together. So they've got to do 2 Joker laps during this race. As we see now Zach out in the lead of that little mini group there. Is that Pierre Ligio down to 4th? But I think that's because he took a Joker lap.
Yeah, we're seeing these Joker laps come into play now. As I mentioned, with the back drivers, they could use them to their advantage. Pierre Ligio, has he actually gone down to 4th place? No, Pierre Ligio, he's in 3rd now. Pierre Ligio in 3rd, but yeah, it looks like he's definitely done that Joker lap. It's cost him a position, but he could make this back up in the races. We see the race leader now in for their Joker lap.
That looks like now going to lead Ricardo, and he goes defensive immediately, despite the fact, Selectra, he's already done a Joker lap, so he needs to get on with it now here a little bit. Ricardo, he can't really start defending the leaders because you're compromising your own race, and Pierre Ligio has dropped off a lot from Selectra as well, so I don't know if he made a mistake or he has taken a joke. I wasn't watching his part of the race because there was so much contact. Speaking of contact, look at this down in the midfield now. This is the B final they're fighting for. They're fighting for the minor points of the championship, but they're still fighting with that passion. It's Bill Snyders, who started last in the B final, tries to go for the overtake here and doesn't quite make it work. All sorts of fighting, all sorts of squeezing there. It doesn't work out at all. Zach Minisham now drops down to 9th position. 15 minutes left in this race. Now, I'll cut to you, Soren, as well. At the moment, looking at this driver, who do you think could progress to that A final?
Right now, Ricardo has a little bit of a gap. I don't think P2 is getting slipstream right now. Oh, it just changed. No, still Ricardo in the lead. So I just think if he just keeps this, it will be, and if he just keeps consistent, it won't be much of an issue for him to win this.
He's had a fairly unlucky start, I would say, to this race, this championship at the moment. He's looking very good in the sprint phase, and that looks like Bill Snyders, who unfortunately had a spin there. I don't know if that was from contact or what, but I'm sure he'll report it after the race if there is a penalty due to be happen. As we just saw a bit of an issue there from another driver. I don't think that was anything to do with the race, as Ricardo is still leading. No, Selectra now actually is back into lead. As Ricardo now takes the pit stop. Now, will this be a clean run from Ricardo? He uses a lot of grass, a lot of hill. It's going to slow him down.
Oh.
As he now comes out behind Pierre Ligio. So it looks like this is the fight for lead. Pierre Ligio won't defend that, as Ricardo, should I say, has a much better exit from the edge of the pit lane. Now, the problem with this Joker lap compared to other tracks is that you don't really lose a lot of time from taking the Joker. We see some tracks where you can lose up to 10 seconds of a lap, or sometimes you'll go 10 seconds forward in a lap. For instance, the next round at Race Hall, that will be a Joker lap where you go forward in time. But here, it looks like you only lose about 1.5 seconds in your Joker lap. So taking them is quite important, because if you have karts behind you that are slower, you're only going to come out behind them, at least. Give me your analysis on that.
Yeah, as you said, Chris, the Joker laps at tracks like this, they're so critical to get right. You can relate this to real life. You've got drivers such as Tom Wiltshire in real life in the British Rental Kart Championship. Got his pit stop wrong twice and 2 yellow lights, and that ultimately cost him some really good positions. So it translates exactly the same into virtual reality. If you get these pit stops wrong, place your kart in the wrong position, you could end up costing yourself more time than you'd want to. And as we've seen, it just hasn't worked out for Pierre Ligio, taking that early pit stop and possibly getting a few things wrong, but he's right on the back of 2nd place now.
Yes, Thomas Wiltshire, the FARKC racing driver, and hopefully one day he joins us on the ACK series. But now back to the front. We're following Selectra, who at the moment is in a very good position, I'll say, out there in the lead. It's quite a clean lead. He's not setting the fastest lap, though. The fastest lap is actually going to a driver that's been referred to here as GOAT QX. Well, he's not the GOAT at the moment, sitting in 4th, but he will make his way up, as we see now Pierre Ligio come in for his last Joker stop, and so does Ricardo. I think that's Ricardo's first, actually. but he's going to get the better run on Goat there down the straight, as now Goat does still have the fastest lap of a 51.5, but I believe he might have done that during the Joker lap. Another interesting fact about today is that possibly the Joker lap could be the fastest lap for drivers. That might have to be investigated after the event, and maybe the Joker laps will be removed each one. But at the moment, the Joker lap could be the difference between getting an extra point in the championship, and a 51.561 is a very competitive lap time there to be getting those extra points for the championship. But only 12 minutes to go now in this B final. This is still the B final. We've got an A final to go yet, which is very exciting because we're going to see all sorts of racing there with Ben Paynes and Soren at the front. Here comes Selectra for his last Joker stop. It's a bit shaky, but he does come out into the lead. So he is now checked out there in the lead, as we're now seeing Ricardo, and he's starting to defend. And will we see a fight now for the A final emerge? I believe these three drivers now actually have all done their Joker stops, as Pialiscio has dropped off as slightly, as Ricardo now takes the lead. Will he go for it again there? Selectra, no, he doesn't. It's just the case now where they're starting to work together. And I want to bring it back to Soren here, because now we've seen all these drivers do these stops. Now, what would you be thinking now in this situation? Now we've seen so many Jokers so early into a race.
Yeah, right now I saw Ricardo defend very much like he was already happy with his second place. But I see the defending didn't really cost him much time, which means that Selectra might not be quite on the pace to the top three guys right behind him, because he seems to be in the lead right now. And but yeah, Selectra is right behind, but he also has the slipstream, so that does a lot as well. And you can see Ricardo immediately defending as well. He just doesn't want to lose this.
Yes, and we're not even halfway through the race at the moment, and if you're telling me he has to defend for 10 minutes straight now, we're in for a very long B final here, and I think you'd be so exhausted you wouldn't want to take part in the A final. But Pierre Ligier at the moment, some alarm bells would be ringing. He's 1.2 seconds off the lead, and he's got to get that back, and I think he's going to at the moment, because these two drivers are not giving any leeway on track. As going down the straight, Ricardo sitting in the middle of the track, as he does go to the racing line for the corner, so maybe he's starting to relax a little bit. Maybe Selectra's not showing that he wants to go for the move, and maybe it's a case of, hey, listen, we've both done our Jokers. At the moment, we're making an A final. Let's just go together. But no, there's Ricardo again trying to break that slipstream down the straight. We're seeing. I'm not sure how he's going to keep this up for 10 minutes, to be honest with you. And I think there's going to be some tears at the end of this race for some drivers. But as he's still defending into these hairpins, but I just want to bring Gabe in here. Come on, Gabe, give us your analysis on what's happening here.
Yeah, there's again plenty of close fighting going on. We were sort of expecting this coming into the finals from what we'd seen, from the sprint races, but it really is getting feisty. You would maybe somewhat be expecting drivers to work with each other a bit more, but you can see at the moment Ricardo's going fully defensive into this corner. You wouldn't expect this with 9 minutes of the race to go, so there's a lot of interesting battling going on. I just also want to point out that I did notice Goat, currently sat in 4th place, coming into the pit lane for his Joker lap, did cross the white line. That could be something that the stewards might have already picked up on and it's being looked at. I'm not entirely sure on the rules with crossing that white line on the pit entry, but it did look like he had his wheels over that white line compared to other drivers. Just
was he in contact there? Yes. Oh, and Pierre Ligier benefits from that. He goes into the lead. Who's that? That was. It looks like Ricardo on Selectra. That was a bit of contact there. So Selectra made side contact, and looks like he backed out of it with Ricardo, and he actually let Ricardo back through. So great sportsmanship there, but that's cost him a very good position in this race. Now Pierre Ligier is the driver who benefits from that, as now Ricardo goes back into the lead here. Great sportsmanship though from Selectra. He did let him through, as we see a driver on track there. He's trying to get out the way. Jamie Riches, the English driver, gets out the way just perfectly fine. Thank you, Jamie. But Pierre Ligier has now dropped down to second, but he's now in the fight for this A final. Here's Goat, possibly under investigation, but he's running outside, which doesn't work at Daytona. He's got to get to the inside. He does, but now he gets defended by Selectra, and Selectra, not in an A final position, is defending here, and Goat might be getting a little bit frustrated. Anyway, Gabe, let's head back to you. What have you got to say?
Yeah, quite a few dramas going on there, referring back to my previous point of, drivers not really working together. That was a great example of it. And, Pierre Ligio benefited from that for a few corners. He lost the place back, not long after. But always drama's going on here. You can never ever leave a race before it's finished. That's what we've learned from Formula One, karting, any sort of racing you want. You have to stay till the end because things can change in the blink of an eye, and that's exactly what's happened there.
Soren, do you think these drivers have pitted too early at this point?
I just believe the Ricardo's plan is really stupid. Honestly, he doesn't put any trust in the driver right behind him, and Pelliccio doesn't hit me like the type of guy who will go for the first move he sees. So Ricardo's plan is obviously gonna hold Pelliccio up, and it's gonna do that the group behind is probably gonna catch him, and it is only gonna build up the pressure, and maybe another little contact is gonna happen between them, like it happened last time when he was too aggressive on the defense.
Well, whilst it's calmed down at the front, as I just say that, we're looking at some sort of defending back, but whilst it's somewhat calm at the front, I just want to promote the series, ACK. This is just round 1 of a 10-round championship, a sim karting championship, and, it goes all over the world, for one. This might be in the UK at Daytona Sandown, but next up we're going to Denmark to race at Racehall Aarhus. How do you pronounce it, Soren? Is it Aarhus?
It's gonna be very hard for you to pronounce, Chris, but we can try. It's Aarhus.
Aarhus. Well, that is where round 2 is at Aarhus Racehall.
Yes.
Quite a legendary track in real life. And then, we're off to tracks around the globe, finishing with Buckmore Park at round 10. If you want to get involved with the series, it's as easy as just clicking the links in the description of this stream, and getting involved with the championship, helping on a few practice servers. And there's a 24-hour practice server for people to race on, and there's plenty of training races and offers to get people racing. But ACK, a growing series, 36 drivers just in the first round alone. We expect that to increase more. We had 10 people say they couldn't even make this round, but watch out for next round when I'll be back again. As now, let's join back into the action here though, with Selectra just holding on to that position from go. I think he might be feeling slightly bad for hitting Ricardo off from the lead a little bit, because he seems to have fallen off by a mile at the moment. But going back to a point of Soren, Pierre Ligio, he's a driver who, as we see Goat now go through, will Goat now start the charge up till 3rd place? We'll find out. But going back to Pierre Ligio, he's a driver who has always told me, he's the creator of the car. For him, just to be here racing is enough. And he's told me he's happy if he's first or if he's last. And that mentality in a driver, you should be working with drivers like that. I don't believe he's going to be vicious in his overtakes. At the moment, he is just slipstreaming off Ricardo and driving down the road. At the moment, as Goat now has to defend from Selectra, this has now turned into a bit of a personal battle between the two. But let's bring back in Gabriel. What have you seen so far?
Well, it looks like the racing itself has seemed to calm down a lot. We see, looks like a lot of the drivers have done their stops, and we're seeing sort of everyone start to split up into groups now. Everything is becoming more spread out. Obviously, we're seeing an interesting fight now between Goat and Selectra as they go side by side now into the braking zone. Nope, Goat still stays ahead. So these two probably having the closest battle on track. The leaders sort of seem to have checked out. Pierre Ligio 3 seconds ahead of Goat, and only 6/10 behind Ricardo. So there's still a lot that can happen in this race with 4 minutes to go, but everything just seems to have calmed down. Ricardo no longer sort of holding up anyone at this point. A little bit of defending from against Pierre Ligio, but it doesn't seem to be affecting any other drivers at the moment.
The driver I want to pick on is Leon Blundell, because actually we saw some bad contact there. And looks like and Zach looks like he's letting Bill to Snyder's back through, possibly. Will he be doing that? It's all sort of all over the place at the moment. Will he? We're seeing all sorts of squeezing, but Zach looks like, yes, he does let back through Bill to Snyder's. Oren does follow him through, which he's entitled to do, but great sportsmanship there from Zach Minisham to let Bill back through, but that very unfortunate bit of contact, I would say, as we see now a crash. Bill, now he has hit the wall on his own. And that's really unfortunate stuff from Bill there. And the gold tier driver, Bill, in fact, he's left the server. He's had enough of today. Very unfortunate. But what I was going to say before that happened was, these drivers, they're fighting for B finals, but it's great to see them fighting with such respect for their fellow competitors at the moment. And there's only 2 minutes and 55 seconds to go, I just noticed, gents, before the end of this race. And it has fizzled out at the moment. It does look like, with a 3.3 second gap to Pierligio and Ricciardo will be the drivers going through to the A final. But listen, we've got a fantastic A final still to come, so I would really recommend sticking around for that at the moment. As these two drivers, it doesn't really matter if you want the inside start at the back of the grid. Pierligio is more than free to go for it, but I'd say at the moment these two have checked out in their race. But yeah, head over to Soren. Soren, how would you see this race finishing?
Yeah, if I was in Pillagers' shoes, I would just stay behind for now, because starting in the back, like you said, it doesn't really matter if you're on the inside or outside. It's a 25-minute long race, so he just needs to get his head down and just not get unconcentrated by Ricardo's defense.
Yes, absolutely. Well, 1 minute 56 to go. Looks like we're going to get 3 more laps of racing here. The fastest lap still going to Goat Q, who has got a 51.5. We believe he did that during the Joker lap, but I guess it's in the rules. It's legitimately the fastest lap at the moment. I think it will be beaten, however, in the A final by certain drivers, but we'll have to see. It's going to be a very exciting A final to see how Ben Payne, Soren, and all the other drivers get on. But Pierligio will keep up his record. It will be his 9th A final in a row. Looking at my notes here at the moment, but the question is, will he win this B final? There's no trophy for win the B final. The only thing he can do right now is score extra points in the championship with the fastest lap. But I don't think he's going to get that at the moment. Over to Gabe.
Yep, I just wanted to point out, Chris, that whilst all of this has been going on with Pierligio and Ricciardo, it has sort of played into the hands of Goat and Seletra behind them. The gap previously was around 3 seconds, almost gone down to 2.2 seconds. Yes, we've only got around 2 laps of racing to go, but as Soren pointed out earlier, there could still be a chance that some wheel-to-wheel banging could go on, and the crash or something dramatic could happen. So it is going to be worth to keep an eye on these two for these final 2 laps. But
Well,
again,
it looks like this is the final lap. This looks like the final lap now,
Yeah,
as the timer hits 0.
Yeah,
Yes,
we can also see, and Pierligio's on board. He is thinking about making a move. I can see us on his steering movements, so he's definitely not just glad enough for P2. So maybe he is gonna try a surprise move down the inside in this final lap.
Well, thank you so much, Soren, and we're going to leave you there. We wish you all the best in the A final with your result. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hopefully, we can have you back on the commentary team soon. As now, we're going to come around the final few corners. It does look like at the moment Ricciardo's done it. On his ACK debut, he's beat the creator of the kart as they come around the final set of corners. Now, Pierligio doesn't get through, so it will be, unless it's a drag race. No, Ricciardo does win the B final, and Pierligio will be the other driver to make the A final. But a fantastic race there from QX, but it never quite worked. Slectra, very unlucky, I would say. That move on Ricciardo wasn't quite there. Very unlucky from Marty Sheplo and Tim, the Dutch driver, who, very good in the endurance series, but it's been a ball of fire, I would say, through the sprint series for him so far. But he'll be back, I'm sure, in making A finals. Leon Blundell, an unfortunate result for him, but he did take a penalty in that first sprint race to drop down the order with Barry T, David Roger, Oren coming round, and Zach Minisham, and of course Bill Snyder, who unfortunately DNF'd the race. But what an interesting group of drivers, I would say. And to be honest with you, a fantastic B final. That would have been an A final back in season 1. So it's great to see the quality of the field really getting better. But that was a great B final. But listen, it's all about the A final, and that's up next. So stick with us. We'll be back in around 5 minutes for the A final. Welcome back, everyone. It's a 16 driver A final, and it's exciting stuff. We've only got 2.5 minutes to go, but I want to move to Gabriel first. Gabriel, give me your thoughts so far on the day.
Well, like I've mentioned previously, Chris, we've seen such good racing throughout the sprints in the B final. It's been amazing to watch. That B final looked like an A final with the drivers working together, the pit strategies. Everything just looks so good. And if that was the B final, I cannot wait to see what's going to happen in this A final. We've got Soren on pole, Ben Paynes, who could be considered the underdog, in second place. Such top caliber drivers. It's going to be a really good race.
Absolutely. Well, as you say, this series has grown a lot, and that would have been the A final back in season 1. But yeah, it's only a B final now, and that's very, very interesting to see. But so many people have been practicing with this car. They put in so many laps. I just want to call out where is he on the grid? No, he's not in, but there was a driver doing 500 laps in practice over the week, which 500 laps of Daytona Sandown. I hate to think how much that would cost you in real life, to be honest with you. But yeah, it's one of those things. So 1 minute 30 seconds to go. Soren on the inside. We got Hugo Morales on the inside as well. And then on the third row, we also have Dakpan 11, who is a Dutch driver who he's in the bronze category. And it was pointed out to me that he's actually quite a good driver, according to a lot of people. I haven't got his credentials here. I will get them by next week's race. Next week, by the way, we go to Racehall Aarhus, as Soren would put it, in Denmark. But I'll have his credentials there. But apparently he's a very good racing driver, so I will look him up before the race. But it's a bit of a mistake to put him in the bronze category at the moment, I would say. But like always, people sit behind these names. We're not sure who they are, but at the moment, he's proving he deserves to be in his A final and get racing. So, Gabriel, final thoughts before the race.
Well, I just wanted to say, let's keep an eye on Jacko here. He had an amazing qualifying in the second sprint race. He's down in 7th, didn't have an amazing race, but for a 10 or 11-year-old, that is an amazing performance. So I want to keep an eye on him in this A final, see where he's going to go.
Just to confirm, not Jaco, Andreas Lanzaradis, I think you're talking about there, Gabe, is the 11-year-old or 10-year-old. But no, here we'll clarify that at some point, how old Jaco really is. But it's only 10 seconds to go till the start of the race. It's 6 red lights in ACK. Here we go. We're getting ready. Will the outside drivers get the benefit of the start? Ben Payne's on the outside, and the race is a go. Hugo Morales now having some issues there by looks. In fact, he's having all sorts of issues there by looks. But Ben Paynes does go to the inside off that. We're seeing all sorts of the content at the back. Oh, that's a really bad start from a lot of drivers there. I don't know what's happened. Baptista van der Breggen, the controller player there, falling into issues. But Soren, because of that, has the cleanest start. And Harry Power up to P2, the silver tier champion. Now up into P2, Ben Paynes in 3rd, with Dakpan 11 in 4th. There's all sorts of contact there. But Hugo Morales looks like he's fallen very far to the back because of that. So yeah, very interesting stuff. Looks like Pierre Ligier as well had a false start. But Ben Payne's down into 3rd now, but you kind of expected that with Daytona and how it works. Now, will he work with Harry Power, or will he go early on the pit stops? We're not sure. Anyway, Gabe, what was your thoughts on that start?
Very, very chaotic towards the back. I think Ben Paynes will be kicking himself, especially there. He had such a good opportunity to do something down into the first braking zone. He's dropped down into 3rd place. He's a driver who's come into this championship wanting to win every race he can, collect every point he can. So he'll be quite frustrated with that, and I reckon we'll see some good overtakes and some feisty driving from him throughout the race.
See Dennis Oikemonis there pull aside, but quite a lot. I don't know if he was letting some drivers through there, but he has lost 3 positions on the first corner alone. As we're seeing all sorts of fighting there from Sami Gabert. Sami Gabert down the inside, actually holds on the position. He's up into the top 10. Baptista van der Breggen now is making his way back through. It always seems to be the case with Baptista van der Breggen. I remember at Karting Vendrell when he crashed on the first lap leading the A final, and he crashed on turn 3. So he's making his way back through once again. We're going to start calling him the comeback kid, as I can just see Yanni Lemons there. Yanni Lemons is in for his first Joker lap. Now, where will that bring him back out? Because that's quite an important and quite an early stop there from Yanni Lemons. 23 minutes to go on the clock, but Soren with a fantastic lead there, a 51.6 as well. Still not faster than Goat from the B final, so the point is still going to go to the moment. But what, fantastic. We saw a huge... Oh, there's no... Ben Pains has spun around. Yes, so Ben Pains, who's he been hit by there? I'm trying to look back. Ben Pains will
Thing
be
is,
very...
Jacko, the driver I said us for us to keep an eye on, he's attracted attention, but for all the wrong reasons. Ben Pains is not going to be happy with that. Jacko will likely receive a penalty for that, taking out 2 drivers there, but that's not the type of racing we want to see in the A final.
No, that was not a good move. I would say, looking back on it, he's taken a lot of curb there and just side contact on the side of Ben. But Ben is a driver who is determined. He's focused, and he will be making his way back through his order. You know, maybe a top 5 over this race. So don't forget, 22 minutes of race. Oh, and all sorts of contact there at the pit lane.
More contact, yep.
No, this has been a chaotic A final.
Ben Payne's involved again. Ben Payne's involved in another crash.
Oh, goodness me. What has happened here with this race at the moment? As no... Welcome back to the action. Looks like it was just an issue on the broadcasting side. The race is still going on, which is great to see. Soren, though, with a very clear lead there. It's 4.3 seconds on track. Harry Power, though, he is in second place after all that chaos, but he's starting to fall back a little bit. His last lap was a whole second slower than Soren. So, you know, Harry Power, although in a great position and will score great championship points, is starting to fall back here. Now, this is falling into Matteo Dambrin's benefit. And by the way, it's his ACK debut. To get a top 3 on your ACK debut, it shows you're really serious about this stuff. But Gabe, what have you seen so far?
Well, obviously we've seen a lot of contact, which we were not expecting in the A final. Yeah, really a lot. We've seen Ben Payne's pretty much being taken out of contention. I was thinking he could have maybe pulled an undercut with that pit stop time being slightly faster than your normal lap. Maybe if he'd come in a lap earlier than he was planning on, that could have maybe kept him out of that carnage, but just unfortunate. It's racing, things happen. We're seeing quite a close fight though between the top 2, or between the second and third, sorry, but as you mentioned earlier, Soren just seems to have checked out and to be continuing this run of form he's had since Season 2.
Well, Harry Power now is the driver in second position, but now he's under pressure from the debutant Matteo Dambrin, who's had a fantastic debut. Jaco in fourth, but, you know, he's going to be investigated for those moves, so I don't think he's going to stay there. Yanni Lemons in fifth, and by the way, the comeback kid, and oh, that's Matteo Dambrin. He came to the pit lane, but he crossed the line. So that's, he didn't just cross it, he took the whole line. So that is not good from him. And yes, he's going to benefit, but that was a bad stop. So he's going to take a 5-second penalty for that.
Yeah, that's again stuff you wouldn't really expect to see in the A final. You've got to give him the benefit of the doubt, though. It is his debut. He might have missed a few things, but unfortunately that
Oh, he's
might
missed
have
the
cost
briefing
him
video,
dearly.
clearly, Gabe.
Yeah. You need to watch that briefing video, guys. That's the most important part. And we see more contact there, more contact. Who's that's been sent off the track?
Oh, that's Hugo Morales.
He's been sent off. Ben Payne's might benefit from that. No, Ben Payne's the driver looking to make a comeback. Still stays in 12th, but we're seeing quite a lot of contact in this A final.
What I will say is Hugo Morales has a very, well, I want to say it's in commentary, racing commentary, very high ping. And yes, he disconnects from the server. I think his ping is a bit too high. A very unique thing to sim karting is, ping. It's not really a thing in real karting, but unfortunately, he seems to have some issues with his internet going into this race, is the best way to put it. Matteo Dambrin, down. He's going to take a 5-second penalty. I was going to mention Baptista van der Breggen up to 6th position. As I always say, the comeback kid is, I think, he's already called the controller player, but I think his new name might become the comeback kid soon because he always seems to be up there and then falls apart early into the finals, especially the A finals, and then has to make it back through, getting past people on track.
Yeah, you can never discount Baptiste. You know, we've seen straight away from sprint race 1 taking that pole position, I believe, and then just having a bit of an unfortunate race. But you know, you can never discount certain drivers, and Baptiste is definitely one of them. The comeback kid, as he's now called. Speaking of nicknames, though, I would like to mention Soren, our race leader, now 7.5 seconds ahead of second place. He just keeps extending that gap. His nickname is Jesus Christ. He does look to have the powers of Jesus Christ at the moment with that kind of gap. But we're seeing some more intense fighting going on for second and third. Harry Power is still defending against Jacko here. Jacko already probably receiving a penalty from the stewards, but lots of interesting racing going on.
Well, I'm not sure his family are going to nickname Jesus Christ, but it seems like a lot of people around here are calling him that, and he is performing miracles on track at the moment. But you say miracle, but it looks like Harry Power is just causing this bottleneck as Jacob comes in. He did cross the line there again, Jacob. We'll have to investigate that. You know, there's all sorts of internet issues around here, so we will check at the end of the race to make sure that was definitely outside the line, but he might be taking on top of the penalty he might be getting from earlier, another penalty again, as Harry Power at the moment can let these two drivers through and probably still finish second at the moment. And I don't know if he's listening to the stream. I know Harry Power is a very active driver in the ACK community. If he's hearing this news, there's probably no need to defend at the moment. Yanni Lemons and Baptista van der Breggen, however, will be listening to the live stream and they will know that these drivers in front do have penalties. So if they can just keep it clean between the two of them, they will be looking at, a top 3, a third and fourth position, and maybe even getting up to Harry Power. They've got 14 minutes to make it happen.
Yeah, just to quickly touch upon one of the drivers you mentioned there, Chris, Jan Lemons, he's a driver that's been a bit under the radar for this race, you know, as we see another driver come into the pits there. But yeah, Jan Lemons, he's running in a comfortable 4th place at the moment with pit stops being done around him, but he's been a bit under the radar now. He's currently being chased down by Matteo, so there's still a lot that can happen. He's been, just really been under the radar.
Yes, and we'll have to look at if Matteo's second stop also was okay, but surely in this position you'd be thinking, right, Yanni Lemons in front, finishing second place, and down the inside there for Matteo. It looked somewhat clean, but he did slide into him. He has a penalty, so Yanni Lemons is going to be looking at it and thinking, well, you know, you've got a penalty, mate. If I can stay within 5 seconds of you, then everything's okay at the moment. Let's go down the order a little bit. You know, we focus on the front 6. Let's go down the order. Pierre Ligio at the moment has moved up into 11th position. And it's not very far off Ben Payne, so only a straight away with Simon Gabert chasing down Pierre Ligio. He's had a great recovery, and our other A final winner, who was Ricardo, at the moment is sitting in 8th position, and his fastest laps are 51.7. So, you know, Ricardo proving that he deserved a spot in this A final.
Yeah, I think one thing that will prove as well, Chris, is you've got those two drivers that have won their B final or finished first and second, such as Pierre Ligio and Ricardo. and they're really getting involved in the mix in this A final, which sort of shows just how close the field is. You know, drivers might be in that B final, but it's all about getting those qualifying laps. It's all about being precise. But other than that, it shows how close the field really is just on pure pace and how good the racing is. So we might have 2 finals, but it's still extremely close.
Absolutely, and we've just passed the halfway point as well in this at the moment. And Yanni Lemons now coming back at Matteo Dambrin. It looks like he's working with Matteo, and I think he does. You know, Yanni does listen to these live streams. He will know that this guy, the driver in front, has got a penalty. So at the moment, he will be very, very calm, I would say at the moment. But Harry Power actually has pulled away from Jaco. It's got to be said. I did say earlier. A few issues there with the broadcast, but I'll give you what I'm seeing on my side. Harry Power leading out pretty well in second place. And, you know, if he keeps his penalty free, I think he's going to be looking at very clean second place, which, you know, again, Harry Power telling me before the event, you know, at least before the season, that he's going to struggle. So it's great to see Harry Power rising to the challenge of the gold tier drivers and proving that he, again, you know, from being a champion at silver tier, deserves to be in that gold division and fight for these titles.
Yeah, one thing I'd want to touch on there, Chris, is with these gold, bronze, and silver divisions is, you know, with it being part of the ACK League, it is a great way of having possibly drivers who are newer to the league still have a chance to fight for something. You know, if you're just trundling along in 20th place, you might not feel like you're really fighting for anything, but if there is a title on the line, it does change things up. So I think it's a great addition for the championship. One other thing I'd also like to mention away from these divisions is just tuning back in with our leader, Soren. He has now pulled a monumental gap, an 11.1 second gap to second place. That is just someone who is connected with their machinery, connected with the car, complete confidence in the brake pedal, acceleration, steering. He is just in a world of his own there, flying out in front.
Well, he did tell us he's been training a lot before this season started, and it just shows if you just put the work in, you will get the results. But he's not backing off. You know, you look at the lead he has, and he's still doing half a second laps quicker than Harry Power, and only 2/10 off his fastest lap. And bear in mind, he hasn't even done a Joker lap yet. Nobody can get close to this driver at the moment, which it shows the standard. It shows how fast you can be in these karts. He definitely has been aided by Ben Payne's being taken out early on, but Ben Payne's will be making his way up the order. But you know, at the moment, Soren will claim not only a win, but he also takes a sprint win. So that's 3 championship points and the fastest lap of the event. Unless Ben Payne's or another driver has something to say about it, he will have a perfect 54 points walking away from Daytona.
Yeah, this is exactly the start of the season Soren would have wanted. You know, as you mentioned, he had a very good winning streak in second season. He unfortunately, ended up missing out on potentially winning that championship at the last round by, unfortunately, getting stuck in a traffic jam. So if there's any driver that's going to come into this season wanting to win that championship and truly prove themselves, it's going to be Soren, and he's making quite the statement here already. You can't fault him. Pole in the race, not pole. Yeah, pole in not pole. Sorry, yeah. Second place in his for qualifying in his sprint race, winning that sprint race, taking the fastest lap, and just flying out in front now in this A final.
It does show you how fast Jaco can really go if he can out-qualify this driver by 3/10, but he just hasn't quite got it on the race pace. So he's a driver to watch out for over the season as long as he joins us for the remaining rounds. But I think there's a lot more pace to be extracted from not only this kart. This kart's only been released for 2 weeks, and I think drivers are getting faster and faster with it. A driver who, I have to mention, he hasn't actually competed in ACK yet, but Jarno Landi, who is a driver who has topped the timing sheets for the 5 of the last 6 ACK events, including tracks like Pit Stop Now Sky, which we've seen before. We've seen Spa, we've seen Le Mans karting in France, we've seen Dubai Kart Drome, KZR. Jarno Landi has been at the top of all those sessions, including beating Soren, but he hasn't made his ACK debut yet. So we're hoping, you know, drivers like that who maybe it's an issue that they can't find the time, but if he finds the time, be interested to see how far he can find his way up this order. Because it's one thing to set the fastest lap in a practice session, but to go and win a round of ACK is a whole different ballgame, if you ask me.
Yeah, I mean, you can have drivers who are extremely quick in, you know, other forms of racing, whether that be real life rental karting, racing in real life, like actual cars, any other form of online racing as well. But ACK at the moment is where I'd say you're going to find the top drivers. You know, there are champions from real life in here. There are such high level of just such a high standard of driving in this championship that it really is a sight to behold at some points, and it's just so diverse with the skill levels, which you have these top level drivers. You also have drivers who are maybe less experienced but will learn how to race at a top level from joining this championship. So it's such a good learning opportunity, such good fun, and just such high standards across the whole championship.
I have actually spotted in chat Leon Blundell, who, by the way, unlucky event today, Leon. We know you'll be up there in future events. He's relaying the information to Harry Power, and that's interesting because Harry Power now sitting in that third position. You know, Jaco, Harry Power's not far beyond Jaco. Jaco, at the moment, is expected to take a penalty for that bend paints. It will be appealed. We can't say it in the commentary if he takes penalties. We can only speculate. But looking at the contact made, it's going to be something. I would say. And Mateo as well, you know, you have to watch the briefing videos. The briefing said, do not cross the line. And there's a little bit of leeway with maybe putting your wheels slightly over because, you know, we all understand that, you know, internet is a thing. But he not just crossed the line, he took the whole line from the inside of the track. And that's not the right thing to do. So watching the briefing is very important. It's Pierre Lijo on screen, by the way, still doing really well. Looks like he's in a bit of a race of his own there with Nye. Nye, a driver we haven't talked about. Amazing effort from him this time to make the A final. He had some very unlucky rounds towards the end of last season, and now he's enjoying the A final. Not a lot to fight for there, I would say, at the moment. He does have a little look at Pierre Lijo, but it's probably best at this phase to just work with him and see what happens. We see he goes down the inside there, but Pierre Lijo, a little bit of contact there with the inside of the barrier, and he's going to fall off there. He's lost momentum, which probably is going to lose him a bit of time on track. But let's tune back into this race now. So we got Sora now in the lead. Mateo there, who's in fourth position, who will take a penalty, so he's going to drop below Baptista van der Breggen and Janne Leemans. The next interesting driver, I would say, is Janne Leemans, who's done both of his jokers, I believe, as Mateo now goes into third position. Now the drivers with penalties want to get on with it. I wonder if they're also listening to the live stream. Now Harry Power in troubles. Baptista van der Breggen now down the inside. Now is Harry Power gonna let go of this? He's gonna have to, because Baptista's there. And now Harry Power's going to have to worry about going with Baptiste. Listen, these drivers have all scored fantastic championship points, and it's a 10-round season. So they need to think about the long game here, I would say.
Yeah, there's a lot of different strategies going on here. The race has seemed to calm down a little bit. As you mentioned already, Chris, Soren is just flying out in front. 13-second gap now. He's checked out. You've got Jacko in second place, although he might be receiving that penalty. He might actually... He's still going to be too close to the drivers behind, but you never know. If they start fighting like they are now, with Baptiste going for a move into third place, has he made it stick? Yes, he has. If they start fighting like this could potentially play into Jacko's hands, give him the gap he needs, depending on the penalty he's going to receive. But I was talking about this race settling down. From third down to sixth, they're all going for it, so I might have been wrong.
Yes, absolutely. And we're still waiting for a few Joker laps in there, but Harry Power, unfortunately, at the moment, he just didn't have the pace to stay ahead of these drivers. He was losing. We've been watching 3 to 4 tenths a lap, and obviously then he was getting slipstream when he was close enough. But Baptista van der Breggen up there in third. I believe he's had a clean race so far. Oh no, was he also the contact there? No. Mateo again.
Yeah. Oh,
Baptiste...
more contacts.
Oh, Baptiste had an issue there. Oh, we'll have to look at that one as well. But Janne Leemans over is now. I believe Janne Leemans has done both of his jokers, so he will go ahead at the moment of Harry Power and Mateo, because Mateo has the penalty. So at the moment, I'm not sure how this is playing into Jaco's hands, but Jaco might be able to outdrive his penalties and finish in second place potentially at the moment. We'll have to see.
Yeah, I mean, If he receives a 5-second time penalty, it's going to be right on the cusp. Right on the cusp. Only 2/10 or now 3/10. But yeah, as soon as I said that race was calming down, the complete opposite happened. You know, drivers again, not exactly what you'd be expecting to see in an A final, but drivers just trying to go for that every single point they can. And unfortunately, things like this do happen, as we're now watching a fight between Ricardo and the driver in 6th place. It would be Darkpan11.
Yes, and Ricardo does hit the inside barrier, and Ben Paynes does benefit from it, moving up a position. Ben Paynes, 7th place would be quite a good finish, actually, for Ben Paynes, I would say, at the moment. And there's still penalties to be handed out, so you don't know how far that's actually going to push him. Don't forget, Ben Paynes will also score 3 points, championship points, for his sprint race win as well. So it's not all doom and gloom for the Ugandan driver at the moment. Predominantly racing in Britain, of course, in championships such as SRK, Club 73, and I believe he is doing the Daytona in-house Super Champs Championship. I'm not sure the official name of it, but I believe he's even taking part here in real life soon. So it'll be interesting to hear his thoughts on driving this track in real life. Although I do think that is in a 2-stroke D-Max kart, so it's probably a little bit faster than what he's experiencing here. Harry Power, by the way, now pressuring Mathieu Dambreen, who has that penalty, and Yanni Lemons just sitting quite quietly behind at the moment. Only a minute to go on the timer. We're just looking for Soren at the moment. Soren is lapping drivers at the moment at a fantastic pace. And we believe he's done both of his jokers, so he's now driving to the end here. Harry Power, we're not sure how this is going to officially end on track, but we're going to call the result as we see it. So at the moment, Soren leading with Jaco in 2nd. In 3rd is Matteo Dambreen. With Harry Power and Yanni Lemons bringing up the rear. Yanni Lemons will be keen, though, to make that overtake on Harry Power here because it's 4th position. So 49 seconds to go. I believe we're going to get one more lap of racing. Just looking for where Soren is on track. Yes, Soren just crossed the line. So this is actually the last lap for Soren. These drivers got one more lap to go in front. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. Now, this is the last fight of the day. Gabe, any thoughts from you?
I've just been monitoring the gap between. Was there contact there coming out of the final corner? I think there was. I believe Yarne's benefited from that, and he might be going for 3rd place there. Yarne could have benefited.
And these two drivers are clean the whole way through, so this is actually 4th position. So Yanni will be looking for those extra points and those extra sprint race, those extra points for the championship. Harry Power does defend, and he goes to the inside, and now Harry Power holds down the inside. Matteo Dambreen's going to be there. Who's going to benefit from this? This is the last lap of the race. By the way, Soren has won the first race of the ACK season, but we can't call that just yet as we're coming through now. Yanni still hold the inside. Don't forget, Matteo has a penalty, so he can finish ahead of Yanni. And there's a bit of contact there, a bit of contact, and no, he's slowed down Yanni. So Harry Power will come round, and the gap's going to have to be monitored. But Harry Power could have pulled 2nd place over there, but for now, Jaco finishes 2nd, Harry Power 3rd, Yanni Lemons in 4th, Matteo Dambreen for now is 5th. 6th position going to Simon Gobert. Simon Gobert, in fact, in 6th place is fantastic. Ben Paynes, I think, actually finishing 6th on track. But yeah, what a fantastic race as well from Ricardo. Drivers leaving the server now, so we can't get their final positions. But listen, what a race. What a fantastic race as well. It's a great performance there from the 2 B finalists winners in Pierre Ligio and Ricardo. But that was just the first round of a 10-round fantastic series. So I just want to say a huge thank you to Gabriel Quinter through my co-commentator. Any final words, Gabe?
Just mirror what you said there, Chris. Amazing racing, exactly what we want to see at round 1 of this championship. People going for it, fighting for every point. I hope this continues for the rest of the season.
Absolutely. Well, hopefully you can join us again soon. I just want to say thank you as well to Soren for helping us through the B final. Hopefully we see him again in the future on these streams. And of course, thank you to all the ECK coordinators and everyone for helping making this championship work. Please find all the links below to this championship. It's a growing championship and there's still so much racing to be had. And of course, a big final thank you to Dernica, Dante, for providing the stream today. it's been a fantastic stream as ever, and he improves it every single time we run it. So a big thank you to him. He's done amazing work for the championship. We can only thank him a million times over. So that's it from round 1 of ACK. It's been fun. It's been vicious, and ultimately it's been fantastic. So thank you, everybody, and we'll see you next week. We go again next week at Racehall Aarhus. Shout out to you, Soren, for that pronunciation. Thank you all. See you next time.